Earlier we have discussed about these leadership myths and facts. In continuation of that, you will find about that is the how the leadership is to be shared. Now, in an organization, commencing is a simple blend of men and women, associates and the management work towards the development of an powerful team. All these aspects that is to be shared, so we can form a team, we can classify whether it can be on the basis of the gender, that is these what will be the same band of the men and women in a particular team, what who will be the associate set. Associates may be from the basis of their wisdom and expertise, and like this these classifications can be taken. Now, when we are talking about the leadership, about the myth 5 is that is the exist only at the top of the organization. Many people believe that is the leader means top management, but this is not fact. The highly competitive market leaders needed at various levels. So there are basically three levels: junior level, middle level, and high level. And at every level, I would like to share my experience that when I was the labor officer in the Hukumchand mill, and during that time in the late 80s, then at that time it has been seen that is it from 98 to 90, then it has been seen that is the ship supervisor. He was supposed to be the best leader, I tell you, because whatever the process starts from the at the ground level, if it is properly checked, quality is controlled, then there will be no complaint. So if you want the quality leadership, then the quality leadership has to be checked at the initiative level. So therefore, it becomes very, very important that is the leadership is not at the CEO level only, but rather than it should be right from the junior, middle and senior level executives. It will be ringing its own death knell. So therefore, it is very, very important that is the everybody in the organization, they should contribute in the leadership to get work done. Necessity of leadership at the different levels is clearly apparent, and when considering armed forces are there. So therefore, in that case, like if you're talking about the level 1, level 2, level 3 or level A, B, C, then every level there should be the clearly it should be apparent, and therefore the persons, those who are working in the organizations, they know what is to be done, how it is to be done, where it is to be done, when it is to be done. So all questions are answered by the leader, and as a result of which, once the work is done, there are no complaints. Effective leadership at every level is a prerequisite to achieve a corporate vision. Now, the direction is very important. Okay, fine. The leadership might be at the junior, middle, and senior level, but the all the contributions at all levels, where they should be directed, they should be directed towards the achievement of the corporate vision. Whatever the corporate vision is there, that is to be done. Because if there is no coordination between the junior level and the middle level, or middle level and senior level, then definitely it will becoming a big problem. However, it might be the effective work, but it may not be the efficient work. It might be an efficient work, may not be the effective work because of lack of coordination. So if you want a proper coordination between the efficiency and effectiveness, then it becomes very, very important that you are having this coordination amongst all the levels. Leaderships are the charismatic. Now charisma is very often confused as leadership is there, right? So every charisma is not necessarily to be a leadership, right? It is not necessary that is the every leader has to be a charismatic leaders, because when we find that is the employee look for where they can trust their leaders more than charisma. So building the trust, leader should be trust builder, and if he is a trust builder, then definitely in that case he will be able to influence his followers. Every time you are expecting a charisma from the leader, it will be impractical approach. So if you want to do this particular consideration, then in this consideration to be an effective leadership, please don't try to always to be charismatic leaders, because normally it does not happen, practically it does not work. In fields which require technical and specialized skill, it matters very little whether the leader is charismatic or not. Very simple example is for operations management is there, and in the operations management, in technical and specialized skills are required, and if you are able to do that, follow those skills, automatically you will get the output and product cost effective. But if you are talking about the HRM motivation, then definitely the role of the charismatic leaders that becomes more. But in the case of the operations management, it is more systematic work. Quality product itself will prove that there is an effective leadership is there. Organizations like bank, investment house is not conducive to a completely charismatic leaders. They go by the rules, regulations and procedures. A more quiet, leading by example type of person would be better suited, and therefore in that case by doing his own the task, that will make him the leader rather than creating any charisma at the workplace and becoming the leader is there. Myth 7 is the good leadership is all common sense. At face value, this myth says one needs only common sense to be a good leader. So therefore, in that case, that is the it is not that is the only that common sense will work. Need to act confidently, of course, but they also need to be humble enough to recognize that others' views are useful too. So therefore, in that case, here we can also differentiate between the authoritative or autocratic style of leadership vis-a-vis that is the participative style of leadership is there, and therefore it becomes very important that is we are always yes vision, leader has to give the vision, and but in creation of that vision, in implementation of that vision, in achievement of that vision, he requires to get the recognition by the others views also. So others views are also becoming very very important. Do leaders need to persevere when things get tough? Yes, but they also need to recognize when times change and a new direction is called for. So persevere where the time always challenging time. At a challenging time, the persevere is required. Yes, that is required. But they have to recognize also that is with the changing in time, the leadership style is to be changed. Flexibility. Flexibility is very very important, and that is so that what happens, that is the leader to achieve the corporate vision, he changes his directions, and by the different directions you can reach to the destination. Myth 8 is the only school you learn leadership from is the school of the hard knocks. It is a mistake. To think of the formal study and learning from experience as mutually exclusive or the antagonistic. In fact, they complement each other. So therefore, don't think like this, that is the only experience makes a person the perfect leader, or only a very highly qualified person, a very high degree from a very highly reputed institute that will make a person an effective leader. No, it is the combination of both. They require, they complement each other in the sense that is they are able to mutually supporting to each other, and when they mutually support to each other, a person who is having the experience of the 10 years of experience in his field, and then also he has studied, then there will be nothing like that. And therefore in that case, that learned leadership with the practicing leadership, that both will be making the your leadership more effective. Approaching the issue in such a way recognize the vital role of experience in the leadership development, but it also admits that certain kinds of study and the training can improve a person's ability to discern important lessons about leadership from the experiences there. So therefore in that case, the individual's ability that has to be supported by the person's experience is there. It can, in other words, accelerate the process of learning from experience. So therefore they are not the isolated compartments, right? So they are the supporting compartments, and in the supporting compartment means there is a bridge between the compartment. And what is the bridge is, that is a learning with the experience. And many times if we find as the management education, they were the initiation for these part-time MBAs. And part-time MBAs means that is the education of leadership. The practicing the employees, they were in the evening, they were learning the leadership styles, understanding the leadership concepts, and therefore with their experience and their learning they have become more effective. Please also, this myth is wrong, that is only the experience will become the effective leaders, only the learned from the top class institutes, the learned who have learned and trained into the leadership, they will become the effective leader. No, that has to be mutually interdependent. Contrary to the popular belief, leadership is a rare skill. So, as I always mentioned, it is many people feel that they are different, those who become leaders. No. Contrary to popular belief, leadership certainly is not a rare skill. Majority of us have inherent leadership qualities that come to fore when opportunity arises, the crisis, celebration, or when simple family decisions need to be taken. I would like to give an example of a marriage. So, when the marriage is finalized, and then you find that is there are the different the relatives, those who are performing different functions, responsibilities very efficiently, and then you find that, oh, these are the people, those who are the best in this particular task. So, therefore, it is the decision need to be taken to whom we are giving an opportunity to perform. Good leadership skills without management skills to support it will result in inability to operationalize the corporate vision. So, therefore, in that case, the good leadership skills, that is initiative, then participative, delegation, decentralization, and management skills, when we are talking about, that is the communication skills is there, job knowledge skills, technical skills, human skills, conceptual skills, analytical skills, designing skills. So, therefore, these are the management skills are there. So, these management skills are to be supported to the leadership skills are there. So, therefore, in that case, whenever we are talking about that leadership is more influential, because it is supported by the managerial skills is there. Myth 10 is the extroverted leaders are preferred. Like you see in the personality, we talk about the introvert, extrovert, intuitive, sensing, thinking, feeling, perceiving, and judging. So, extroverts are thought to be more outgoing and confident, right? And the introverts are considered shy and withdrawn. Extroverts work through the problems by discussing them and seeking the advice and input from the others are there. Introverts process their thoughts and conflicts internally. Because of these differences, it should not be surprising that extroverts are drawn to the leadership roles. So, therefore, in that case, that is the it has to be seen, that is the how these extroverts, those who are becoming very popular and very interactive, and these therefore they are becoming the spokespersons. There is a function of this manager is as a spokesperson, and the extroverts people, they become the spokespersons, and they emerge the image as a leader. So, being a leader means engaging with other people, right? And therefore, please don't take it this myth that is the only extrovert can be the leaders and the introverts cannot, because introverts they are process their thoughts and conflicts internally, but they come out with the decisions very effectively. So, the reality is that not all extroverts are cut out to be the leaders. A lot of successful individuals such as the Warren Buffett, Barack Obama, Marissa Mayer are introverts, right? And therefore, in that case, whenever we are talking about especially that this USA President Barack Obama, and when we are talking about that is the how their effective leadership has worked in spite of that is the introvert. So, the reason is this, that is it is not just because you are the head of the departments or the comfortable in crowd does not mean that you should sell yourself short. Those who are even introvert, they come out with the new ideas, and that ideas make them the successful leaders. So, you may still possess the right leadership skill to inspire others, even though if you are the introvert is there, because your decision making styles. So this why these introvert leaders, that is Warren Buffett and Barack Obama, are they are so much successful in their areas. That is it is just because of their decision making styles, and therefore introvert, and therefore they are introverts. So they analyze, and their analysis that is making their strong result oriented decisions are there. So not necessarily that all extroverts they will become the effective leaders, and the all introverts they will not become the leaders. It is the individuals, the expertise, whether he is extrovert or the introvert, ultimately the results, ultimately it is the self analysis of the individual that will decide whether the person will be successful leader or not. And is about the results and not the people. Now we have to combine. Akin to the previous myth, leadership is not all about the results at the sacrifice of the people. Unfortunately, we are disconnected. What I want to say, that is the many times we say people are important. Many times we say technology is important, process is important, and many times we say that is the financial condition is important, that makes the people leader. So these are the different myths are there, and ultimately what is the reality or fact? Fact is that it is the interaction of all. That point we will cover now. When we are disconnected from the feelings of ourselves and others, these incest doing leads to action that are not grounded and leaves us feeling disconnected. And many times the people are disconnected from the reality, distracted by the meaning and the belongingness is there. In the short term, high results may be achieved, but they will be at the cost of long term gains. This is also very, very important. At what cost you are achieving your results. So therefore it is not that is the, when we say about the accomplishment of goal, accomplishment of vision, but at what cost you have achieved your goal, at what cost you have achieved your vision, that is becoming an important aspect. So as you people will be less motivated, discontented, and they probably be looking for the other jobs. So therefore if your people are not highly motivated and they are not having any concern, not contented, and be looking for the if they are searching for the another jobs, so therefore in that case the vision will be achieved in long term. So therefore in the short term high results may be achieved, but they will be at the cost of the long term gains, and that care has to be taken. Management equals leadership. In short, management is about the oversight, reacting and maintaining the status quo. So many times they are not taking the initiatives, whereas leadership is about focusing on the bigger picture, helping others to see this vision, coaching, building relationships, and being willing to take risks. So there is more momentum into the leadership is there. A manager is a steward to get the needs to be accomplished done and maintain the processes. However, a leader goes beyond this. They take you someplace you have never been before, to a new vision and opportunity. Most people lean towards one or the other. Self-awareness is important, and not only of one's own skills but the needs of the team. So earlier also we have talked about this thing, that is it is very, very important. We are having the team members, we are concerned with the team members and not only with the individuals is there. So any leader, if he thinks that is the on the basis of his own performance he will lead the organization, then I will say it is a myth, unless and until he is not supported by the team members. Related to this myth and reality, now I would like to discuss with you one case study, and that is the Virgin Group is one of the largest companies in the world, over the 30 countries. At the head of this huge organization is Richard Branson, and Richardson he built the organization from a small student magazine to the multi-billion-dollar enterprise it is today. Right. So always we find that is the journey of the successful leaders. It starts with the small steps. Why I am sharing with you, that is the yes, you are the potential leader, and when you want to implement the leadership, so you please start with the small step and you will reach to the big vision. So Branson was suffering from the dyslexia in childhood, but was great at his uncanny knack for the uncovering lucrative business ideas, and his true talents began to show in his late teens. He decided to start his own magazine named Student. It has differed from the most college newspapers or magazines. It focused on the students and their interests. Now you see when many magazines are there, these magazines are talking about the students, but their title is not student, and then it is not focusing much on the students, rather than it is focusing on the different dimensions. But here, according to this case study, the Branson saw an opportunity for students to offer records that has been the cheaply by running the advertisements for the mail order delivery. He recruited the staff of the student for his discount music business. He built a small recording studio and signed his first artist, and soon grand sale of the 5 million copies. Right, for the Mike Oldfield recorded the Tubular Bells, and therefore this way the journey has been started. Sometime later, Branson started other business like the airlines, hotels, finance, etc. His approach was non-traditional. He keeps each enterprise small and relies on his skill of empowering people's ideas to fuel success. And that's why earlier we have talked about that is it is the connect between the leader and team. And if there is a proper connect with the by the leaders with his team members, then definitely that is by empowering these team members and accepting their ideas, that will lead your success. Once a flight attendant from Virgin Airlines approached him with her vision of a wedding business. Richard told her to go and do it. Branson relies heavily on the creativity of his staff. He is more a supporter of the new ideas than a creator of them. So this is also, you see, some people may have this feeling. Some people have some of us, right? They may have this feeling that is they are not the good ideas creator. No problem, but then you can connect with the good ideas creators, and when you are connecting yourself with the good idea of connectors, like here it is given, he is a more supporter of the new ideas than a creator of them. That will also do, and that will make a successful history. In 1999, Richard Branson was awarded a knighthood in the Queen's Millennium New Year's Honours List for service to the entrepreneurship. And here I would like to have the questions, right? And that is, would you classify Richard Branson as a manager or a leader? What qualities distinguish him as one to the other? And identify the myths of leadership development that Richard Branson's success helps to disprove. And you can think about it, and then you can have your own the answers, right? And that you can take it as your assignment also, and then try to find out that is the how this that ideas collection, right, that can make a person a leader as compared to only to be a generator of the new ideas, right? So many times the people they do not want to come to the driving seat of leadership because they feel that is they are not the good idea generators, right? But from this case study you will find that yes, there is a possibility by making a proper team. Okay, so next I will discuss about this research paper. Awkward leaders born or made, right? So therefore, in that case, we have talked about this myth, right? So do you recall that what I have mentioned? Yes, and that is the it is the not only that what you, if you are born, so you will be successful leader, but by learning and by experience, the one can be a successful leaders. For this research paper, the author is John F. Marcus, Journal Leadership and Organizational Development Journal, published in the 2010, right? And the purpose of this paper aims to review the leader of the 21st century, the awkward leaders based on information collected from 11 leadership thinkers and the practitioners, right? And literature review and the author's workplace observations. The article seeks to analyze some of the important experiences and skills that make the outgoing leaders to so outstanding. In this particular research, the methodology which has been used was conducted as a qualitative study of the phenomenological kind and enriched with the literature review. Interviews were executed from a pre-validated interview protocol, and the approach to the topic is definition of the Auckland leadership, a review of the essence of the Auckland leadership, reasoning of the determination regarding this leader being born or made, and perspectives towards that this Auckland leadership is there. The findings of this particular research paper is that is an interesting combination of qualities emerge for these Auckland leaders varying from morals and values. Now you see that we have to understand here these creators of a successful leadership, and the first and foremost is that is the moral and values. The moral and values of the leaders, right, that is towards this to serve the society. That is if the moral and values of the leader is to earn for themselves, then such type of business they have not become much sustainable. They might have reached the peak, but they will not become the successful. The ethics, integrity, honesty and trust is there, right? And these are the dimensions, you know, that has to be focused whenever you are talking about becoming the leader. So your integrity towards your job, your profession, your honesty and trust towards your organization, to kindness, forgiveness, courage, love and deep listening, because with your team members this is becoming very very important. That is you are having that particular kindness and forgiveness. If you are having that that approach in your decision making or in interaction with your team members, that kindness and forgiveness is there, right? And there will be certain suggestions by the team members. If you are having that courage to make these applications by these particular the suggestions made by your team members, love and deep listening to them, then definitely in that case you will find that is yes, you are a collective leader. As an interesting end note, the article explains why practicing Auckland leadership is easy and difficult at the same time, and therefore in that case you will find that is this particular study, when you are talking about these different dimensions, how it is making you one side successful, other side challenging also. The study is reviewed, although in depth, applied to a small sample of leaders, which makes generalization riskier. Because leadership is such a broad and dynamic topic, literature review is never exhausted, and definitely in that case you have to see, even you see the old literature, and then always you have to find out what is relative to you and what can help you to become the successful leaders. Leaders may reconsider the skills required for themselves time to time, because what is important is this, that is if you are referring the literature, if you are in the current dimensions consideration, then you will be making them the changes, amendments as per the whatever the skills are required in a given situation, and their workforce to guarantee successful performance, and naturally ultimately they are responsible. Organizational leaders are responsible to provide that guarantee successful performance in an increasingly interconnected world. So therefore, wherever the business is performed, that business has to be performed in a very very interactive way. Leaders may engage in reflection and work towards the stronger emphasis and development of skills in which they consider themselves weak. So therefore, leaders are to be considered to be very strong, and then this development of their skills, they should learn wherever they find that they are weak into their the certain skill areas. Leaders may re-examine their work environment. Now this is very important. What is your work environment? And consider how to minimize the factors that complicate the practice of the Auckland leadership in their organization is there, and therefore always they are supposed to do the reviews. And when they are making the reviews, so that is comprising, that is making them more successful and less the complicate, right? So if you want to make that your leadership style should not be get complicated at the workplace, you re-examine your leadership styles, re-examine the work environment, because your leadership style should match with the work environment, and that's why you are supposed to carry on. The books recommended here are the Myths and Reality, right? Here these details are given about this particular book, which you can meet Leaders, Myth and Reality, right? General Stanley. So therefore, McChrystal is the author for this. The another book which have been mentioned here is the Mythical Leader, and the 7 myths of leadership is there, and on basis of this also the authors is the Ron Edmondson. So therefore, in that case, this is the another book about the 7 myths of the leadership, which you can refer. And for all these the literature which we have interacting with you are the references and the online sources. So at the end, I will say that is to be becoming a successful leader. It is not the just do not go by the myths, rather than understand the facts, and by understanding the facts, you can develop a very effective team and effective leadership. Thank you.